having a really good day today.
All apologies are not created equal.
Hello, slimy fertilers. Yep, Justin managed to get his video back, the one that was false flagged for nudity, which is a good thing. Whoever the dickhead is that did it deserves to be roasted by their bollocks. But yes, he's made a video here trying to teach us all how to apologise. So let's see what he's got to say. He's probably going to be spouting bollocks as usual, but yeah.
Some apologies are really genuine and heartfelt and sincere.
Uh-huh.
While others are self-serving and selfish and rude.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of apologies end up somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, Justin, that's what's known in the business as a non-apology apology. It's typically used by people who wish to save face because they don't believe they've done anything wrong and don't see why they should be apologising. But they are making some sort of apology anyway, just basically to save face and to provide the people that are demanding apology with something to walk away with. It's an interesting bit of human psychological, stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, people who are demanding, full apologies like that expect the person apologising to abase themselves and grovel before them when they're not actually entitled to anything like that. Because a lot of the time people demand apologies for things that don't really need apology for, as Justin will go on to demonstrate.
So let me show you one example of how not to apologize. At San Diego Comic-Con this year, the cast of Supergirl was singing a goofy song about the show, and one of the actors sang about how two of the female characters on the show were just friends and were not going to get together. And they all laughed about it.
You know that people are not obligated to go into relationships with anybody at all just because you want them to, don't you? I mean, especially so with fictional characters on television. I mean, I like Supergirl too. I watch all of the DC stuff, the main DC stuff anyway, and but I don't feel the characters have to enter into personal relationships and stuff like that just to appease me, so we're already showing a level of entitlement there.
Afterwards, a lot of queer people who are fans of that show felt really hurt by this, myself included.
Your precious fifis and other people's precious fifis do not enter into any level of consideration in the matter. The cast were simply making a joke about two characters who would not be entering a relationship at all. It doesn't matter whether, the relationship was, queer people, whatever. So queer people, you mean gender fluid people, you mean people that can't decide whether they're male or female, and just operate purely on fifis. Sorry, the real world doesn't care about your fifis, and if you take offence to something, that's your problem, that's your hang-ups, getting in the way of you living a real life. For fuck's sake, Justin.
Because it felt like they were mocking the fact that anyone ever thought those two characters could get together. Queer people have such little mainstream representation as it is. It felt cruel to mock the bit of representation that they were hoping for.
The world owes you nothing, Justin, nothing at all. The rest of the world should not be expected to walk around on eggshells just to please you. Very sorry that your narcissism and your complete lack of self-awareness on this particular matter gives you offence, but then again, if you learned to live in a social environment that didn't include just people that were around you just to please you all the time, you'd probably have learnt this a long time ago, probably during childhood. And if you'd learnt that lesson during childhood, you wouldn't be the complete fucking mess that you are now.
Now, I don't think they meant it as an insult to their queer fans, but
they didn't.
That doesn't change the fact that many people were hurt by it.
Aw, poor baby.
So then, the actor who sang that line made an apology on Instagram. It's filled with sentences of him deflecting blame onto the queer fans who were hurt by this. He says that they took it the wrong way, that he couldn't possibly be homophobic, that they were spewing hate at him. And he says they made him feel just as shitty as he made them feel. That's a terrible apology. In fact, if you ever want to know how to not make an apology, this is a really great example.
Translation. He didn't grovel and, abase himself before the people whose feelings got hurt, so therefore it's not an adequate apology. Now, I have read this apology on there, and it is a very literal, adequate apology. even though none was actually deserved. There was no way, there's no way of gauging people's feelings before they did it, and there was no way of gauging people's feelings in response to the statement that they made. So therefore, anyone who has taken offence at it has done so purely off their own back, and are now expecting someone to grovel and abase themselves before them simply for their pleasure. No, that's not quite how it works, I'm afraid.
And a lot of people who are much more involved in the fandom than myself have gone in depth about this and articulated their feelings really well.
The feelings on the matter are irrelevant, unless you can show me how some actual harm came to someone due to them singing this silly song and making a bit of a joke that you can't take. Then any further discussion on the matter is completely irrelevant and pointless.
And I think he ended up posting a lot more about it, so I just want to talk about apologies in general today, not about this specific one. Because I see this happen all the time, not just in TV fandom. People really don't seem to understand what makes an apology a good apology.
Why is it that I get the funny feeling that no matter how you apologise to fuckwits like this, your apology will never be good enough for them until you have completely and utterly destroyed yourself and made yourself look like a complete idiot? That isn't an apology, that is ritual humiliation, and to be honest, it's very, very sadistic and very indicative of the amount of the amount of sadism that these people like to inflict on people.
So, here are some steps you can follow to make sure that your apology is sincere. Number 1, show remorse and take responsibility. You gotta say the words, "I'm sorry," or "I apologize." I've genuinely seen people apologize without actually saying the words. You gotta say it. And you can't qualify it with anything. Like, "I'm sorry you were hurt," or "I apologize if I offended anyone," aren't apologizing for your actions, they're apologizing for how the other person feels. You're saying that you're sorry that they're hurt, but you're not taking responsibility for having caused that pain. What you want to say is, "I'm sorry that I did this," or "I apologize for doing that." You have to own up to the damage you've done and genuinely show remorse, or it's a terrible apology. Number 2.
Justin wants you to grovel before him when making an apology. He wants your face down in the fucking dirt and wants you screaming at the top of your lungs that you are sorry for whatever slight you may have caused him, regardless or not of whether you actually were aware that you were causing a slight. You see, what he doesn't seem to understand here is the difference between an insult and a disrespectful action. They may seem to be one and the same, but they are not. An insult is where you purposefully go out of your way to insult someone. I insult Justin all the time. I'm insulting him right now by not using his preferred name, because he doesn't have the level of respect, or he hasn't earned the level of respect to me due for me to exhibit any respect towards him. I will not apologise for this. If he wants an apology for this, he has to ask for it, and that will garner some respect. But for to make an apology, firstly you have to, there has to be a reason that you deserve it, and unfortunately, unintentionally hurting someone's feelings is not cause for an apology.
2. Explain what you did wrong. Avoiding what you did or making excuses for it doesn't help. The person you're apologizing to wants to know that you know what you did wrong. State explicitly what you did wrong and explain that you now understand why that's wrong. It's okay to say that you didn't mean to or that it wasn't your intent, but don't use that as a shield to hide behind.
Indeed, I agree with him here. When you have been caught bang to rights doing something wrong, yes, you should admit what you've done and take responsibility for it. However, when he says, you can say you didn't mean to and stuff like that, but that shouldn't be used as a shield, that is perfectly acceptable. If you do, this is the difference between, apologising for something you've done and apologising for somebody else's, perceived, wrongdoing. If you've done something deliberately that you knew was wrong, then yes, an apology, I have done I'm very sorry I did that, is adequate. If you've done something that really doesn't deserve an apology, you can say, you can quite clearly say, or quite honestly say, I didn't mean to cause you offence, but, at the end of the day, offence is taken, not given. If you give offence, then that is an insult, and there are numerous ways of dealing with someone insulting you. You can insult them back, you can demand an apology for it. If the person doesn't feel like giving an apology for it, then that's up to them. But basically, like I said earlier, the non-apology apology is a way of saving face. Someone asks for an apology, you apologise that they got offended. That's all that's required. If people don't go around with wearing a sandwich board with the list of things that they find offensive on it. And to be honest, in this day and age, people find things so fucking offensive that, basically people will find anything offensive. So it's really, really hard to try and gauge what people are going to say and do, in response to things that you say and do.
Regardless of what you meant to do or what your intention was, you hurt somebody. And your intention doesn't change that. Just say, I said X, Y, and Z, and now I realize that I shouldn't have said that, and this is why.
Have I upset you? Oh, I'm sorry you got upset. That's all that's required in a fifis-based apology. Simply because, like I said before, you have no way of gauging whether someone will find something you say offensive. And if they do, and, they demonstrate or show that you upset them, that's all you need to do. It's not your fault that they find particular subjects or words offensive. That's their own problem. You don't need to apologise for their problems.
That easy. Number 3, don't deflect blame onto the person you hurt.
Oh, Justin, for fuck's sake, there's no way of being able to tell whether someone is going to get upset by something. It's like I said, people don't go around waving signs saying, I get upset because of X, Y, Z, whatever. It's not hard, it's not a difficult concept to fucking deal with, you fucking moron.
Possible that you feel hurt in this situation too. Maybe the person you hurt lashed out at you and called you names afterwards because they were angry and hurt. But they had every right to feel that way because you did something wrong that deeply hurt them.
Justin, when someone insults you, yes, you have the right to feel hurt, but that doesn't mean you can insult them fucking back. Just because somebody says something and then fucking pisses you off and then you start fucking hurling shit back that's actual personal directed fucking insults. If you start hurling directed insults at people, they are going to get fucking pissed off. I'm getting fucking pissed off now, and I'm going to...
Anger at you is justified, and the way they may have hurt you is in no way comparable to how you hurt them. If I punch somebody, then they call me an asshole, I have no right to be like, hey, that word hurts me, how could you do that to me? Because really, if I just punched them, I probably deserve that.
Punching someone and hurling an insult at someone are two completely different things. Punching someone, in the case of where the punch was completely unprovoked, is classed as assault and is a criminal offence. The person who you punched is well within their legal rights to punch you back, although I don't ever see Justin Dennis punching somebody and the person that they punched doing anything other than laughing. Calling someone an asshole or an arsehole or a cunt or a twat or a fuckwit or a moron or any other fucking words that I can think of that are direct personal insults is not a crime, and how you deal with it is entirely subjective. You can just walk away. You can say, oi, who you calling an arsehole? And stuff like that. Just because your feelings get hurt is irrelevant compared to if someone punches you in the face and causes you an actual physical injury. Words are not violence. Words do not inflict physical injury on people. Stop trying to spin this fucking narrative that words are violence. Anyways, I'm going to end my little journey with Justin's guide to groveling and fucking abasing yourself there, because he basically spends the rest of the video going on about how you should, walk on eggshells for the entirety of your life, and even when you try your best not to insult or upset people, you're still going to do it anyway. He also goes on to say that when you have apologised for something, you have to keep apologising for it to literally everyone that fucking demands an apology, whether they accept it or not. It's basically if an apology is deserved and an apology is given to the individual or individuals in question, they can accept it, they can not accept it. It's entirely up to them. Accepting it is gentlemanly and sporting. Refusing to accept a genuine apology for something, however, is not. So if the person that you are apologising to refuses to accept it, well, that's them just being complete and utter fucking arseholes and not understanding the concept that, the entire universe doesn't fucking revolve around them. So yeah, as usual, link to the full video, or the full restored video now that it's back up, will be in the description, so you can go and look at the rest of it. And if you enjoy my content, or if you enjoyed this video or want to see more of my content, please hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it about if you want to share it about. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter link is in the card displayed on the screen. And if you really like my stuff and want to help my channel grow and help me out, because I'm in a bit of a tight financial situation at the minute, and I am going towards getting a new microphone so that my audio quality increases, and then after that I'm going to try and get a new webcam so that when I do face cam videos they're a little bit better than what I do. You can give me a donation, anything there. That's the PayPal on the screen. It's paypal.me/GodPikachu. The G is a capital G. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time with whatever it is that I come across.